Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to your reading lesson for today. We're going to be reading our second story together today called Rules and Laws. This story for today is an informational text, and an informational text gives you facts on a topic. It can be from a textbook, an article, or a website, and I want you to look for facts about rules and laws as we're reading today. The text focus is on labels, and those are words that tell about a picture or a photo, and they can name a part of a picture or the whole picture. And I want you to think as we're reading, what information do the labels in this selection give you? So we'll talk about labels as we go through the text together, and then you will have a seesaw assignment where we will be comparing and contrasting our two stories of the week. So let's get started. It says rules. Who needs rules? We all do. Some rules keep us safe and healthy. Some rules help us learn. There are even rules to help us have fun. And right here, you can see this is a label right here. It says health rule. So that lets you know that that's one of the health rules, to brush your teeth. And why did they say to brush your teeth? Well, because brushing your teeth keeps your mouth clean and it prevents cavities, so it keeps you healthy and it keeps you safe. Okay, the next page. So right here, this says this is a safety rule. This is a school rule and a game rule. So there's rules for safety, there's rules in school, and there's also rules when you play games, right? Otherwise, the game would probably never end or even get started because nobody would know how to play it correctly. So it says, can you find the child following this rule? Raise your hand to speak. So I want you to point. Which picture is the child raising his or her hand to speak? So if you look right here, this little girl, she's raising her hand. And some boys and girls I know might say, why do we have to raise our hand in school, right? Sometimes like, why can't I just speak out? Well, if we all tried to talk out at the same time, the teacher would never be able to hear who's actually talking, and it would be so loud and chaotic. So it's important to raise your hand when there's a lot of people all trying to talk at the same time. It says, what other rules are the children following? What could happen if they did not follow the rules? So let's take a look at the top picture up here where we have the boys and girls. They're holding a flag, and it says stop, school patrol. And they're on a sidewalk. So usually we don't have boys and girls that walk to school, but other kids who live in the city, a lot of them will walk to school. They won't take a school bus, or they might ride a bike or something like that. And it's important whenever you get to the end of the sidewalk and you have to cross over the road to get to the next sidewalk, it's important to make sure that there are no other cars coming. So that flag is there to keep you safe so that you don't end up walking out in front of a car that maybe doesn't see you. And then if we look down here at the boys and girls that are on the track and they're getting ready to start, well, there's a game rule that when you are running in a race, you all have to start from the same spot and you all have to start behind a line. If somebody doesn't follow that rule, then it's technically cheating, or they could maybe get ahead and they might be able, if they didn't follow the rule, they could start farther up than the other kids and they would have a better chance of winning, but it wouldn't be fair. So that's why it's important to follow that rule when you're in a race. Right here, this says traffic law. Our government has rules too. The rules are called laws. Laws keep us safe and healthy. Laws make sure we treat each other fairly. So a very important law to have in our country is traffic laws, because if every car tries to go a different way all at the same time, we're going to end up with a gigantic crash, right? A big old mess, a bunch of wrecked cars. So it's very important that everybody driving, that's why you have to learn to drive when you get older, to stop at red lights, to stop at stop signs, make sure that you know how to yield onto the highway, how to change lanes when you're driving on a highway. It's very important when you're driving that you know the laws to follow so that you can stay safe and healthy. It says employees must wash hands. This is a health law. It says, can you find the person who obeyed this law? employees must wash hands. What other laws do you think the pictures show? So think about this, boys and girls. If you were getting your lunch for the day, and you knew that one of the ladies that was serving you lunch maybe had just sneezed in her hands. She had sneezed all over her hands, and then she tried to touch and then she went to touch your plate or your food. That would be really gross, wouldn't it? We don't want somebody to sneeze on their hands and then touch our food. So that's why it's so important to make sure that employees and everybody should wash their hands before they eat every meal, and make sure that you wash your hands anytime you might happen to sneeze on them or cough on them or touch something dirty. It just keeps people healthy and it prevents the spread of germs. And a couple other rules that we might see in this picture are, you can see that the lady also has plastic gloves on, and that is another way to keep germs from getting into your food. Another rule might be that the food has to stay in hot containers. That makes sure that the food is cooked properly and there's nothing, it keeps your food healthy for you when you eat it. And also making sure that all of the food is placed on separate trays so that everybody has their own plate. It says, laws help us to be good neighbors and citizens. So just right here, we were just talking about a crosswalk. You can see the traffic guard. He's telling the car to stop. He has his hand out like that, and he's telling the car to stop so that this woman and the children can cross over the crosswalk safely. And right here, we have this big, huge semi-truck, and then we have this car at the stop sign, and that's super important for the car to stop, because if it didn't stop, it would get crashed into by the semi-truck, and that could be a very dangerous situation. So laws and rules, I know rules to kids sometimes might seem like, oh, why do we have all these rules? But they really are meant for your good, boys and girls. What laws do you think these people are following, and how do the laws help? So right here, we have a school bus, and this should be familiar to you, boys and girls, because you're used to doing this for school. And it's very important for the boys and girls to wait until the school bus has completely stopped and the door has opened before they start to get onto the bus. You want to make sure your bus driver is completely stopped. And another rule is that cars that are driving past the school bus, if they see the school bus with the stop sign out, it's a law that they must stop to let the kids get on the bus. Their cars are not allowed to drive past a school bus or go around it when it stops, just to keep the kids safe. And then if we look down here, this is a little boy and his dad going through an airport security, and the lady is using a wand, to make sure that everyone stays safe on the plane, and to make sure that nobody is trying to bring anything dangerous onto the plane. It says, who needs rules and laws? We all do. Okay, so sometimes I know rules and laws might seem constricting or like they aren't really necessary, but rules and laws are good for us because they help us to stay safe and healthy. Okay, and then it says to compare the stories, think about the selections, which is real and which is make-believe, and tell how you know. So you are going to go to Seesaw, and you will have a Seesaw assignment, and you'll need to drag the different sentences to the correct category and compare and contrast your stories. Have a great day.